This is disc number 2.
And are you clear what you must do, Miss Lefebvre?
Quite clear, Dr. Ravenscroft.
Good, good. We must act soon. The moon will be full in only a matter of days.
Yes, I understand.
Then I can leave you to follow my instructions.
You need have no fear on that account. They will be followed to the letter.
Then I think that covers matters. You'll forgive me if I don't shake your hand.
That's quite all right.
Then good day to you. Oh, and Miss Lefebvre,
Yes.
do let me know how you get on.
Oh, I will, Dr. Ravenscroft. You can certainly be sure about that.
In science, one reasons by analogy. So when mankind is confronted by experiences entirely beyond his understanding, it takes an individual with intelligence and bravery in equal measure to push back the boundaries of the unknown. In London, in 1900, the solution to supernatural occurrences were investigated by a man who was famous for his dealings with the unknown and the worlds of the dead. Jerrem Lee, Ghost Hunter. Jerrem Lee, Ghost Hunter, starring Jerry Robbins as Jerrem Lee and Jeremy Benson as Arthur Bennett. Tonight's episode, The Waxing of the Moon.
My name is Arthur Bennett. The beginning of 1902 was a taxing time for my friend and colleague Jerrem Lee. He was still recovering from a vampire's bite, yet the clamour of cases arriving at his door had forced him out of convalescence and into action once more. I assisted where I could, helping to lighten his load a little, as during our time together I slowly began to understand some of the rudiments of challenging the supernatural. Still, I was always conscious that there was so much more to learn.
You have a question for me, Bennett?
Is it really that obvious, Lee?
Oh, come now. You've been turning that silver pentagram over in your hand for some time now.
I was recalling when you first made me wear it.
You mean that business at Tollington Hall?
I didn't understand the need at the time.
And that a simple pentagram worn around the neck could offer so much protection?
Does it have to be made from the purest silver? I mean, is it the shape or the metal that shields?
Both are important. The silver, of course, is useful only against the necromante. It would be of precious little use against other spirits.
What do you mean?
Different spirits respond differently to metals. Silver can guard against spirits of the dead and undead, but there are certain powers which positively draw their power from the element.
You mean that in certain circumstances, silver could help the forces we fight?
I do.
Then to go into battle with the incorrect protection could actually work against you?
Precisely.
Is nothing straightforward in this business.
In my experience, precious little.
Are you expecting someone?
No. See who it is, won't you?
Then you're up to seeing prospective clients again?
Of course, Bennett. Now show them in. Bennett will never learn. All we've just spoken about protection, he's forgotten to put his pentagram back on. Yes?
A Miss Vivian Lefebvre to see you.
Well, do come in and take a seat.
Thank you. So you're Mr. Jerrem Lee.
In the flesh, but pray, what has brought you to my door?
I have a problem which I hope you can solve.
Being?
I have long suffered from what is commonly termed insomnia, Mr. Lee.
Insomnia?
Oh, I know that it may sound trivial to some, but to spend night after night unable to sleep, even just for a little while, is most debilitating.
You have my sympathy, Miss Lefebvre. But I am no doctor.
I appreciate that. I only give you this information to explain why I first came to London to see him.
Who exactly?
Dr. James Ravenscroft.
Have you ever heard of him, Lee?
Only in passing. I believe he is a specialist in disorders of the mind.
Yes, that's correct.
Now tell me, what did he prescribe for your condition?
First, he gave me a number of different draughts and powders to take before bed.
Did they work?
No, not one of them had the desired effect.
And what did he advise next?
Something very different.
Oh?
He gave me a salve made from garlic, the petals of daisies, and the lotus flower.
All plants associated with the moon.
He also made me remove all jewelry made of gold. Instead, he gave me this necklace to wear around my neck.
Show me.
Do you recognize the symbol?
Miss Lefebvre, have you ever been told to sleep with your curtains open so that the light of the moon falls on your face?
Yes, that is exactly what he asked me to do.
And what happened?
For the first time I can remember, I slept. I mean, really slept.
You must have been delighted.
At first I was.
Oh?
Yes, you see, the longer I used this technique, the stranger my dreams became.
In what way?
At first, I thought I heard a voice. A distant presence, if you like, calling to me.
When were you first asked to try this practice?
About a month ago.
And this voice, did it gradually become stronger?
Yes, it did. So much so that now when I sleep, I see her.
You mean the source of the voice?
It may sound ridiculous, but I am convinced it is the spirit of the moon herself.
Let me assure you, it does not sound ridiculous to me.
Whereas I used to long for sleep, now I positively dread it. Each time I sleep, she comes to me. It is becoming more and more difficult to wake up. I am certain that if this goes on for much longer, I shall never awaken again.
Please calm yourself, Miss Lefebvre.
Then you think you can help me?
Perhaps. I should like you to do certain things for me.
Name them.
Firstly, I should like you to blacken out your windows at night. You must also remove all mirrors and articles of silver from your room.
As you wish.
And there's something I should like you to wear. I have it in my desk here.
What is it?
A hexagram, made from the purest gold. Wear it each night.
I will.
And there's one thing more.
Name it.
I should like the card of this Dr. Ravenscroft you mentioned.
I have it here in my bag.
Thank you.
Both of you have been so thoughtful and considerate. May I shake your hand before I go?
Of course.
Thank you, Mr. Lee. You have been most kind.
You're welcome.
And thank you, Mr. Bennett. I am very much obliged to you.
Glad to be of service.
Well, Mr. Lefebvre, Bennett will show you out.
I can find my way. Good day to you both.
I've seen a man do that, but never a woman.
What do you mean?
Shaking a hand. Usually they ask one to kiss it.
Perhaps it is a custom of the continent. Did you notice the tattoo she had between her index finger and thumb?
No.
It was a red spider in a web.
I was too busy trying not to let my teeth chatter. Her hand was so cold.
Cold? Nonsense. She was positively warm to the touch.
You're still recovering from that illness. I imagine anything seems hot to you. Still, all this talk of sleep makes me want to lie down myself.
Whereas I feel positively invigorated by the visit.
The thrill of a new case coursing through your veins.
That and the fact that there is a full moon in 3 days' time.
You mean we have 3 days to help her?
Yes, and we'd better get started.
What did you have in mind?
I think we should start by paying a visit to Dr. Ravenscroft, don't you?
That sign that Lefebvre showed us, what did it mean?
It was a sign of the moon goddess. The Romans called her Diana, and the Greeks Selene. But worship of the moon goes back long before those great civilizations.
Seems unlikely that the moon could hold power over people.
Tell me, have you thought how the word lunatic was derived?
I can't say I have.
The word stems from luna, the Latin word for moon.
But why?
There's long been a supposed link between madness and the phases of the moon.
Do you mean that insanity becomes more prevalent during the full moon?
So the term would have us believe.
But surely that is nonsense. How can something so far away influence man?
Aristotle believed that as the brain was the wettest organ in the body, the moon can affect us just as she influences the tides.
Next you'll be telling me that werewolves exist.
You must remind me to tell you about that affair at the old hermitage sometime.
But what would such a deity want with Miss Lefebvre?
That is what we must find out. This looks like the place. Cabby, stop here.
Righto, Governor.
Out you get, Bennett. And keep the change. Top, very much.
Look, here's his nameplate.
Dr. Ravenscroft, specialist in disorders of the mind. Come, Let us see what he has to say for himself. And, you know what to say?
Yes, I think so.
Good. Then let us see if our little subterfuge works.
Good morning, gentlemen. How may I be of assistance?
We are looking for a Dr. Ravenscroft.
I am he, Mr.
Jerrem Lee is my name.
Then I am delighted to meet you, Mr. Lee.
My nephew here has need of your help.
Then you'd better come in. My consulting room is this way. In here, gentlemen. You must accept my apologies for the clutter. I'm afraid I'm one of those people who like to keep their papers close to hand.
You have a fine library here. Some of these texts are particularly rare.
Not to mention old.
Indeed. I've spent a lifetime collecting them.
It seems that not all these volumes relate to modern theories.
No, sometimes I like to challenge current practices with older methods.
Even when treating your patients.
How much can any of us know when dealing with matters of the mind, and who is to say what truly works?
But what of this one here?
Processes and techniques for the treatment of demonic possession?
Ah, yes. First published in Paris in 1680.
But surely you do not prescribe exorcism of demons to remove symptoms.
You don't believe in possession, then?
I've witnessed many strange occurrences in my time.
Have you now? But where are my manners? Do take a seat, won't you?
Thank you.
So, what is the problem, Mr. Bennet?
There's something wrong, Doctor. I spend each night lying awake in bed. It's got to the point where I can barely sleep at all.
Oh. And how long have you had these difficulties?
It all started about a year ago, I suppose, shortly after my brother's death.
Arthur witnessed his drowning.
A most unpleasant experience.
I used to dream of him night after night. He would come to me, imploring me to save him. It just got too much, I suppose, and I began to dread going to bed each night.
I see.
I began to wish I didn't have to sleep at all. I spent my nights trying to will myself awake. At some point, I don't know exactly when, I simply stopped sleeping.
And now you cannot sleep at all?
I go for days in a haze, too exhausted to do anything constructive, yet unable to rest.
A remarkable case, although not as uncommon as you might think.
Really?
Yes, only recently I treated a girl with a similar condition.
Tell me, was your treatment successful?
Entirely.
Then you have hope for me, Dr. Ravenscroft.
Your problem is quite clear to me. You have forced out the very essence which we humans need to successfully sleep by sheer willpower alone. We must try and put it back.
Just how do you propose to do that?
You must understand, it cannot be done alone. No, we must enlist assistance if you are to be cured.
Help? But from where?
There are forces, spirits, if you like, which can replace what has been lost from your being. Are you prepared to open your soul to these forces, Mr. Bennet?
If it helps me to sleep again, I'll do anything.
Then I have something here for you.
What is it?
A serum of my own making.
May I see?
But of course.
Curious smell, almost intoxicating.
It combines the oils of what herbalists call fire plants.
Meaning?
Peppers, chilies, and the like.
It's curious, the liquid seems hot to the touch, almost like liquid fire.
What is it for?
Rub it into your temples each night. They will help open your mind to certain influences.
And is that it?
No. You must do 3 other things for me. Firstly, you must draw this sign on your forehead before you rest. Here, take this with you.
And second?
Darkness, Mr. Bennet. You must have complete darkness if you are to ever sleep properly. Do you understand?
Indeed.
And finally, you must remove all jewelry made of silver from your person. Will you do that for me?
I will.
Good. And come back in a week and tell me how you get on.
Yes, of course.
Thank you for seeing us, Dr. Ravenscroft.
Think nothing of it. Now, good day to you both.
Well, Lee, what did you make of that?
Intriguing, is it not? Let me see that piece of paper he gave you.
It's somewhat different to the sign that Miss Lefebvre showed us, isn't it?
That's because it is the symbol of the sun god Helios. And the oil he gave you, it burns like the flames of the sun, not the coolness of the moon.
What do you mean?
Surely you realize that he asked you to do the exact opposite of what Miss Lefebvre told us.
In what way?
He asked you to sleep in the darkness with no silver on your person.
Whereas she was told to sleep in the direct moonlight and with no gold on her.
And not only that, but with the symbol of Helios on your forehead and an oil of sun plants on your brow.
But why?
I'm not sure. Someone is playing a game with us, Bennett. It's our job to find out who. Ah, Miss Lefebvre, I'm so glad you could join us for lunch.
Have you any news?
We paid a most interesting visit to Dr. Ravenscroft, didn't we, Bennett?
I should say.
What happened?
He gave us his treatment for Bennett's fictitious insomnia.
Was it as I said? Did he ask you to sleep with the moon on your face?
No, just the contrary.
What?
If anything, his prescription was the exact opposite of yours.
Does this mean you cannot help me?
No, not necessarily. You know, there is an ancient technique for diminishing the influence of the moon, but it will not be easy. But first tell us, how did you sleep last night?
She is still there, calling to me across the darkness.
And your dreams? Were they as vivid as before?
Yes, only this time it felt like there was some kind of a barrier between us.
Good. Then the gold hexagram had some effect. You wore it, of course.
Yes, I have it here.
Keep it with you at all times. And tomorrow night, when the moon is full, we shall confront this spirit which is troubling you so.
Please, let me shake your hand by way of thanks. Thank you, Mr. Lee.
You're welcome.
And you too, Mr. Bennett.
Glad to be of service.
And now I must go.
Aren't you dining with us?
No, I feel quite full. Thank you.
What a strange woman. You know, every time I shake that hand of hers, a shiver runs down my arm.
Really? How deep does it run?
I don't know. It's like a kind of numbness, I suppose.
Interesting. Are you wearing that silver pentagram of yours?
No, I must have left it at your room. But don't worry, I'll have it with me tomorrow night.
Yes. Tomorrow night.
What is it?
I have my suspicions, Bennett. But if I am wrong, we leave ourselves open to attack from a most powerful source.
But how will we know if you're right?
We won't. Nevertheless, we must gamble either way. There's no halfway house when protecting one's soul. And this is the room where you sleep?
Yes, it is here that I have those terrible nightmares.
And I see that the full moon is directly shining through the window. What is the time, Bennett?
It's rapidly approaching midnight.
Come, we have much work to do before then. Let us start by marking out a hexagram in the center of the room.
Not a pentagram.
No, it is a sign of the 6, which protects against powers of the moon. There. Now, in each sextant, we must place a copper vessel. Here, help me, won't you? Mr. Lefebvre, would you oblige me by pouring some of this liquid into the cups?
But of course. Isn't that the serum Dr. Ravenscroft gave me?
Yes, I have determined its makeup. It is a clever concoction of oils associated with the heat. Here, Bennett, use these matches to light the liquid. Finally, we place these herbs in each of the segments.
All this paraphernalia, how will it help?
It's a simple process. The sun holds greatest power over the moon. We simply have to remind your tormentor of that fact.
But how?
The flames and herbs hold the influence of the sun. The hexagram will draw power from these and shield you from the moon. We must all be in the hexagram at midnight.
I see. But didn't you mention something about silver?
That is the most important element of our defense. All items of silver must be removed from the room. The merest presence of that lunar metal inside the hexagram will render the protection useless, and we will all be in danger then. Bennett, have you any silver on you?
Only the silver pentagram you gave me.
Give it to me. You too, Miss Lefebvre. Have you any silver on your person?
I wear none, as you instructed.
Good. And now I must remove the pentagram that I wear over my heart.
You seem hesitant.
It is a long time since I took it off. You must remember that to remove the pentagram is to leave one's soul open to all manner of attack from spirits of the dead. Still, needs must, I suppose. There. Now perhaps you could call for your butler. You rang, madam?
Johnson, take these articles and place them in the drawing room downstairs.
Very good, madam.
And now, you have no silver on your person, Mr. Lee.
I said as much, didn't I?
And there is none in this room?
That is correct.
As you say, you are taking quite a risk.
Meaning?
Leaving yourself defenseless against the forces of the undead.
Miss Lefebvre, no one told you to lock the door.
No, they did not.
What's going on, Lee? It's nearly midnight. Shouldn't we be in the hexagram?
I shouldn't trouble yourself so. We won't be needing it.
What do you mean?
It was all a ruse.
But why?
To get you defenseless and in my power. You see, by saying that I was under the influence of the moon, I knew that you would have to remove all silver and other protection against necromancy.
What kind of creature are you?
A vampire, Mr. Bennett.
But you have no fangs.
That is because I do not need any. I feed by touch alone.
Step away from her, Bennett.
I can't.
Yes, you have been rather foolish in letting your defenses down so readily.
Lee, she's got me. Her touch, it's so cold. I feel so weak.
And I feel only warm. It is your life force I feed on.
Take your hands off him, Lefebvre.
Or what? Come one step closer and I will embrace you too. You are both quite powerless to my charms.
I think not.
A pistol! You must know that bullets cannot harm me.
Even bullets made from silver.
You're bluffing.
Lee, get her off me. I can't take much more.
Well, Lefebvre,
Shoot. Then we shall see who is bluffing.
so be it.
Thank heaven for that.
You knew.
Yes, I guessed your game.
But these silver bullets, if I was telling the truth and you took them into the hexagram, we all would have succumbed to the power of the moon.
It was a chance I had to take.
You only winged her, Lee. Shouldn't we try and bandage her or something?
It is too late. The silver, it acts like a poison in my veins.
But why this facade, and why attack me?
Someone wants you out of the way.
But why?
There is something being planned. Something big.
But what?
It's...
Is she?
Yes, Bennett. It's over.
Thanks for inviting me to your club, Lee.
Think nothing of it, and do eat up. You need to get your strength back after that experience.
You're telling me. But you still haven't told me exactly what kind of creature she was.
Do you know that there are two kinds of vampires?
I don't believe you've mentioned it before.
The vile blood-sucking kind is already known to you.
I can hardly forget our encounter with Valdivia.
The second type is rarer still. They are known as psychical vampires. They draw on the very life force of creatures they encounter. Lucky for us, they're also highly allergic to silver.
But how did you know?
You remember how you felt cold and tired after shaking her hand, whereas I felt invigorated?
Yes.
It was when you weren't wearing your silver pentagram.
You mean I was open to attack?
Precisely. Whereas the pentagram I was wearing reversed the flow of energy from her to me.
It's quite a scheme, wasn't it? I mean, there can't be many ways to leave you so defenseless.
Yes, There was a brain behind the plan.
And where does Dr. Ravenscroft fit into what happened?
I'm not sure. But for now, I'm just glad to see the last of Miss Lefebvre.
I'll drink to that.
Cheers.
You have been listening to Jerrem Lee, Ghost Hunter, and tonight's episode, The Waxing of the Moon, starring Jerry Robbins as Jerrem Lee and Jeremy Benson as Arthur Bennett. Featured were Lee Berry as Vivian Lefebvre and Joseph Zamparelli as Dr. James Ravenscroft. Jerrem Lee, Ghost Hunter was created and written by Gareth Tilley and produced by Brian Rothrock. The executive producer was Mark Vanderberg, and the program was directed by Jerry Robbins with music by Jeffrey Gage. For the Colonial Radio Theatre on the Air, this is David Alt speaking.
Where is that book? Ah, here it is. Typical. The first peace and quiet I get all day, and someone comes to call. Yes, I'm coming. Yes, what is it?
A message for you, Governor.
Well,
Here it is, sir.
I recognize that handwriting. It's from Jerrem Lee.
Please, Governor, not so loud.
Please see the bearer of this note immediately. J.L. Well, you'd better come in, I suppose.
Thank you, Bennett.
I was beginning to think you'd leave me standing on your doorstep forever.
Hey, it can't be.
Can't it?
But why the disguise? And where the devil have you been? I've been trying to get in touch with you for months.
I've had to go to ground.
Why?
It's the case I've been working on. It's the most challenging and dangerous of my career.
In science, one reasons by analogy. So when mankind is confronted by experiences entirely beyond his understanding, it takes an individual with intelligence and bravery in equal measure to push back the boundaries of the unknown. In London, in 1900, the solution to supernatural occurrences were investigated by a man who was famous for his dealings with the unknown and the worlds of the dead. Jerrem Lee, Ghost Hunter. Jerrem Lee, Ghost Hunter, starring Jerry Robbins as Jerrem Lee and Jeremy Benson as Arthur Bennett. Tonight's episode, The Last Stand.
My name is Arthur Bennett. It was the summer of 1902, and I had not seen or heard from my friend and colleague Jerrem Lee for many months. So when he arrived on my doorstep in Oxford dressed as a disheveled tramp, my jaw dropped. You'd better take a seat.
Thank you, Bennett. But let me draw the curtains first. That's better. Now I can relax.
You've taken to sitting in the dark, then?
Surely you've noticed the beggar across the street.
There does seem to be one hanging around, but what of it?
His hand. You notice the tattoo?
Well,
The red spider on the left hand?
The psychical vampire who tried to kill you.
Vivian Lefebvre?
Yes, she had a similar tattoo. Then you found out who put her up to attacking us.
Indeed I have. Or more to the point, he made himself known to me.
What do you mean?
Some time ago he came to visit me at my lodgings on Half Moon Street. And a most remarkable interview it was, too. Dr. Ravenscroft, do take a seat.
I should rather stand, thank you.
Well, Dr. Ravenscroft, this is a most unexpected visit.
Come now. Let us be frank with each other. My being here might be a little surprising, but it is hardly unexpected.
No, perhaps it isn't.
And must you insist on keeping that revolver by your hand?
I'm afraid so. Just as I will keep this silver pentagram over my heart. Both offer me protection.
I see. And Colonel Lawson of the Physical Research Society, where is he now?
Out of harm's way.
You mean out of the way of my operatives?
If you like, yes.
But then tell me, exactly how close are you to discovering the aims of my organization?
I have a fair idea.
Go on.
It was in the week following the attempt on my life that I heard of the death of that well-known expert in the supernatural, Professor Hockley. 2 days later, psychic and medium Margaret Underwood died in mysterious circumstances. Both deaths were curious in their own right, but when I found out that the principal suspects had a tattoo of a red spider, I knew there was some kind of monstrous intelligence behind the murders.
You flatter me, Mr. Lee.
So I considered why someone would wish to destroy the leading authorities in the occult.
And you reasoned?
They wanted to prevent anyone with specialist knowledge moving against them.
Your analysis is most admirable.
It was then that I began to make contact with others in the field, warning them of the imminent danger.
And you have made things most difficult for me in recent months, almost intolerably so. Still, my operatives have managed to make certain inroads.
You refer, of course, to the deaths of Williamson, Ackerman, and Pryor.
But of course, I did not come here to talk of such trivialities.
Then why did you come to see me, Doctor?
To make you an offer.
Oh?
I want you to join us, Lee. I want you to become part of our great organization.
You jest, of course.
Don't be so dismissive. The manner in which you handled Miss Lefebvre showed great skill. It was a test which you passed most emphatically.
It was a test which cost Miss Lefebvre her life.
What is a mere life when you think of what we could achieve together? Join me and we shall have the world at our feet.
I have no desire to rule the world, and even if I did, I should never wish to do so with someone as callous as you.
And you refuse to give me the location of Colonel Lawson.
I do.
Then let the battle commence, Mr. Lee.
I am ready for the fight, Doctor, even if it is to the death.
So be it. And when I do finally destroy you, it will cost you far more than your life. Beware the hounds of Hades, Lee. Beware their bite.
Dr. Ravenscroft is their leader.
Yes, he is the red spider in the center of the web. And now you know why I haven't contacted you for so long.
Because of Ravenscroft.
If he knew of the knowledge you have gained from sharing my cases, your life would be in danger too.
Yet he's having me watched.
The tendrils of his web stretch everywhere. Nothing and no one is overlooked.
Then why have you contacted me now?
Things are coming to a head, and I'll need you with me at the kill.
You're speaking metaphorically, of course.
Perhaps. Now, is there a way we can leave by the back?
Yes, but it will mean climbing over the garden wall.
Then come. We must return to London immediately.
Phew. We just made it.
You're out of condition, Bennett.
I think you're right.
Is your brain in poor shape also?
What do you have in mind?
Are you familiar with the object letters of the Far East?
I can't say I am.
Then what do you make of these?
What are they?
A strange collection of objects. I was fortunate enough to borrow them from one of Ravencroft's operatives.
Let me see now. First, a domino. A pair of keys. A piece of fruit. And a piece of paper with a line drawn on it.
It's the guard. Quickly, help me put these things away.
Afternoon, sirs. Tickets, please.
Here you are.
Thank you, sirs.
Do you think you saw what we were doing?
I think not. Still, there shouldn't be any danger here.
Then show me those things again. And this is some kind of message, you say?
Here, start with this one.
It's a line. And a rather old and wrinkled one at that.
And look carefully.
There's a small carving on it.
Yes?
A square with a triangle on top.
Come now, doesn't it remind you of anything?
Well, it looks like a child's depiction of a house, but what does that have to do with... Oh my.
Yes?
Limehouse? Does it mean Limehouse?
Bravo, Bennett!
How absurdly simple.
But it's always simple when you know the answer.
Well, it's a curious place, Limehouse, and with all the comings and goings along the Thames, it's practically unpoliceable.
And a good place to carry out activities under the nose of the authority.
But what about the other thing?
Limehouse is a big place, so try these.
A pair of keys, though they seem far too small to have any use.
Think, Bennett. It's giving you a location. What are they made of?
Well, it looks like copper. Of course. Copper Caves. That's a dock in Limehouse, isn't it?
Good. Now what do you make of the domino?
We have a location. If it's a time we're after, the 2 6s could mean 6th of June.
Today's date. And what of this piece of paper?
With the line drawn in pencil on it.
Now I ask you, is that line truly straight?
Why no. There's a kink in the middle. If they were hands of a clock, that would give you around 11:30.
Half an hour before midnight, and we shall be there to see what happens when...
What the devil?
Guard! Guard!
Yes, sir.
What's happened?
Tree on the line.
And how long will it take to clear?
Hard to say, isn't it, sir?
Of all the luck.
Luck! Luck has nothing to do with it. I was a fool not to have noticed his hand before.
What?
The guard has a tattoo of the red spider.
Oh, you mean Dr. Ravenscroft's behind this?
Trees come down in storms, Bennett, not on a hot summer day.
Where are you going?
We'll have to walk to the next station and try to get a cab from there.
Cabby! Cabby!
No, not that one, Bennett. Here, this one will do. To Limehouse, driver.
Righto, Governor. Why did you take this cab, not the first in the queue?
I have learnt to take every precaution.
But surely...
Now, any man who is capable of blocking the line between Oxford and Paddington is quite capable of deducing our next move.
Really, Lee?
Oh, you still don't believe me? Driver, have you ever seen the cab in front of the rank before?
Never, Governor. And he passed up a few fares just to keep at the head of the row.
There's your evidence, Bennett. You see, the man we are dealing with is supremely intelligent.
I can see that now. And look, that cab I nearly got in, it's following us.
Don't worry, we'll have plenty of time to lose him in London.
Where are we, Lee? I must admit, I'm quite disoriented.
The alleyways of Limehouse do have that effect, don't they? Ah, this is the place. Cabby, stop here.
Oh, Governor.
Out you get, Bennett. And keep the change.
Thanks, Governor.
What is this place? It looks like the back of a warehouse.
Not just any warehouse. This one overlooks Copper Caves.
You have the keys?
I've taken ownership of it. Now in you go.
How did you find this place?
Our preparation has had to be as meticulous as the man we are up against.
Our preparation?
Allow me to introduce our comrades in arms.
Oh, Lee, you made it then.
It wasn't easy, but we're here at last. Bennett, you remember Captain Thorndyke?
Of course. We met during that Private Wilkinson business.
And Colonel Lawson?
Retired of the Imperial Light Cavalry.
And Secretary of the Psychical Research Society. We met at your club, Lee.
Good to see you again, Mr. Bennett.
Now listen, the pair of you. How many men did you manage to assemble?
I managed to organize Lee for a dozen or so from my battery. They're all keen as mustard.
And that's good to hear. And you, Colonel?
I've gathered some friends from the League of Ex-Servicemen. 40 in all, and they're itching for a spot of action.
Not bad for an unofficial army, eh, Bennett?
I should say so.
The men are waiting next door if you're ready to address them.
All right. Settle down, men. I have someone here who's going to explain tonight's operation. I want you all to pay careful attention to him. Well, over to you, Lee.
Thank you, Colonel. Tonight, you're about to confront an enemy like no other you've faced before. In short, we are dealing with an unspeakable evil. And if these people succeed, then the whole world will be put in danger. Our purpose is simple. When the call comes, we must disrupt their plans. Now, they're not going to like this, so expect a fair fight. Any questions? Good. Now, you've all been given protection, a silver pentagram like this. It is vital that you carry it over your heart. You all have your orders, and you know what needs to be done. Well, Good luck, gentlemen.
All right. You heard the man. Everyone to their positions.
Well, Captain, has there been much activity in the cave?
Yes, and all in the warehouse opposite.
Bennett and I must get in there.
We've thought of that. We've noticed that all of Dr. Ravenscroft's acolytes seem to wear these grey robes. We've managed to obtain a couple for you.
And where are the original owners?
You needn't worry about them. They're both safely trussed up.
Come along then, Bennett. Let's get down there and see what's happening.
What now? Shall we try and mingle with Ravenscroft's men?
No. Let's keep in the shadows until we know exactly what they're up to.
There must be 40 or 50 of them.
And they're all lining up along the riverbank with torches.
They look positively medieval in their cloaks.
You men! Yes, you two.
Look! It's Ravenscroft!
And he's seen us. Keep your hood down and let me handle this. Oh, yes, Governor.
Get a torch each and join the others.
Right-o, Governor. Quickly, Bennett. We'd better do as he says. Here, take a torch. Let's go down to the river.
What are they trying to do?
They must be trying to signal to someone.
But what? I can't see a thing through the fog.
Yes, look. There's a boat coming in.
All right, men. She's seen us. Get ready to receive the cargo. All right, men. Get the box off the boat.
Come on, Bennett. We better give them a hand.
Lift it up onto your shoulders.
What's inside this thing?
Heavy, isn't it?
Commence the march to the temple.
This is a grim kind of procession.
And we're headed straight into Ravencroft's warehouse.
What have they done to this place?
It doesn't look much like a warehouse, does it?
With the velvet hangings and incense, it's more like a church. He must have a congregation of over 100.
If you could see some of the faces underneath those hoods, you would recognize some of the most influential people in the Empire.
Place it down on the stone here. Now, remove the lid.
It's some kind of body, but it's barely human. Do you recognize it, Lee?
His name is Janaway. He was said to have been born of a mortal woman and a demon. Legend has it that his half-human, half-demon character gives him the power to act as a conduit between this world and the next.
What do you mean?
As keeper of the gates to the other planes, he has the power to open the way for other, more malevolent demons.
Do you really think that's possible?
Undoubtedly. Now do you see what we're up against? If Ravenscroft succeeds in bringing him back to life, the whole world will be at his mercy.
And just how are we supposed to stop him?
The Egyptians understood his power and buried him alive. This time, we must try to destroy him for good.
Place the body of Janaway on the altar.
Is it safe to touch that thing?
It's quite harmless, for now anyway.
You there, wait!
Lee, he means us.
Show me your left hand.
If I must.
Why do you not bear the mark of the spider? Well, answer. Let me see who is under these hoods. Jerrem Lee and Arthur Bennett. It seems I underestimated you. Hold them, men. Let go. Tightly now, I don't want them escaping.
We won't try to escape. We just want to know what you're up to.
And as you have so considerately decided to join us, I can think of no more fitting reward than for you to help in our ceremony.
What have you in mind?
To bring Janaway back to life, I need blood. To be precise, your blood.
You're insane. To bring back such a creature is madness.
You're forgetting. He will be mine to control.
I've heard that kind of talk before. Creatures from other planes don't readily take orders from humans.
Enough! Bring me the knife! Hold his arm over the body.
Don't do this, Ravenscroft! You're about to set free an unknown terror unto the world!
And now we shall see if it works.
Oh!
See how your blood is absorbed by his body. Yes, and where your blood falls, flesh appears. Hold his throat over him.
Don't do this, Ravencroft!
There is nothing you can say to stop me.
Bennett! Bennett, you must break free!
I can't, they've got me tight!
Bennett, you must!
It's too late for that. Say your prayers, Lee. What the devil?
Get them, men! You heard the Colonel. Get stuck in!
Lee! Are you alright?
I'm fine.
Your neck, it's bleeding.
It's not deep. You blew that whistle just in the nick of time. But where is Ravenscroft?
He escaped when the fight started, and he took Araton with him.
Quickly, we must go after him.
The fog is getting thicker. I can't see a thing.
There, by the water's edge.
Too late! He's taken a boat!
Stand back, Bennett!
Did you hit him?
I couldn't tell through this fog. See if there's another boat. We mustn't lose them.
Here, Lee! I'll row. It's the one thing I've learned at Oxford. Can you see them?
No. Stop rowing for a moment. Did you hear them? They're on our left. There's something in the fog. She's drifting towards us. Can you bring us alongside?
Is there anybody in there?
Let me climb aboard and see. It's Ravenscroft and Araton. Both lifeless.
Not quite lifelessly.
Ravenscroft, you seem remarkably pleased with yourself for a dying man.
That is because I will have my revenge.
What do you mean?
Shooting me was hardly your cleverest move. The blood from the wound was just enough to give Araton life once more. Even if it was only for a couple of moments, it was long enough to open the gateway.
What have you done?
The hounds of Hades. They are coming for you, Lee. Coming to take your soul.
Call them back, Ravenscroft. You must call them back.
It's too late for that. Far too late.
The hounds! What are they?
The hounds of Hades. Once unleashed, they will have their soul. There is no safe haven from them. Listen. They're coming already.
I see them. They're on the shore. Dogs of hell is an apt description.
The water won't stop them. You must take the boat and leave me here.
But Lee...
No, but you must go.
What of your defenses? The pentagram, the herb?
No, there's no protection against them.
I can't just leave you.
You must!
I can't!
To hesitate will mean that you'll die too. Please, Bennett. I beg of you, go now.
I must.
So long, Bennett. I shall never forget your friendship.
No, me yours. And that was the last I saw of him.
Dear God.
I can't tell you what a lonely figure he cut, standing there in the fog with those hellish beasts closing in.
I can't imagine.
And what of the body of Araton? Is it safe?
I can only assume it's at the bottom of the Thames, along with Ravenscroft.
He was a brave man.
The bravest.
I give you Jerrem Lee, gentlemen.
Jerrem Lee.
You have been listening to Jerrem Lee Ghost Hunter, and tonight's episode, The Last Stand, starring Jerry Robbins as Jerrem Lee and Jeremy Benson as Arthur Bennett. Featured were Joseph Zamparelli as Dr. James Ravenscroft, Sam Donato as Colonel Lawson, Lincoln Clark as Captain Thorndyke, and Seth Adam Sher as the Guard. Jerrem Lee Ghost Hunter was created and written by Gareth Tilley and produced by Brian Rothrick. The executive producer was Mark Vanderberg, and the program was directed by Jerry Robbins with music by Jeffrey Gage. For the Colonial Radio Theatre on the air, this is David Alt speaking.
This has been a production of the Colonial Radio Theatre on Brilliance Audio. For further information concerning this program or other Brilliance Audio titles, please call the following toll-free number, 1-800-222-3225, or visit our website at brillianceaudio.com. No part of this recording may be played for an audience or reproduced in any form. It may not be streamed, downloaded, broadcast, or copied without written permission. Address all inquiries to Brilliance Audio, P.O. Box 887, Grand Haven, Michigan, 49417.